Namaste, this is Das, and welcome to the Why Hold On series. In the previous dialogue, we looked at desires, and today we will look at how the control mechanism works in our lives, which is a layer deeper. Now, let's look at what control is. Control is nothing but a set of mechanism, an attempt to increase the probability of achieving the objective, whatever that objective may be. That's all what control is. Take a look at a simple example, football. Do you think football is a game of ball, or do you think football is a game of control? See, football is only fun because every single player is trying to have a control of the ball with the one key objective of winning. So they want to control the ball and they want to win. The question is it just the ball that they're trying to control? No. They're also trying to control the position of players on the field. They're also trying to control the action of each player within each team. Each coach is trying to influence the strategy for the game. Each captain is trying to influence and control the position of the players. So as they get deeper and more involved in the game, the degree of control that is applied gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And what is it? What are the common underlying requirements for control to emerge? See, there's three things. One is that each player needs to have a common objective, which is to win. Each player need to have the same set of assumptions that we will be working at optimum capacity and we are all working in the same direction. Third, they all must be emotionally invested with a very high degree in the core objective. If they have the three things, then control can emerge. Otherwise, fun is always going to be there. See, take a simple example. If you give a ball to a bunch of kids and you say, hey, there you go, that's a ball, and they start kicking the ball around, they only need a functional degree of control to kick the ball. But you haven't given them any rules and you haven't said whosoever scores 5 kicks within this boundary will be considered a winner. Now, as soon as you give them some rules and a winning objective, now it is a game to be won. Now each player is trying to control the strategy that they can apply to the ball. Now, if you say, oh, there are two teams, three in this team and three in team B, now even there's a bunch of kids and they don't have the full football field, they will automatically start forming the strategy to control the outcome. So, of course, they're having fun. It's not that stressful that they're going to walk away. So, control is not a bad or a good thing. Control is just a necessary part of the mechanism, which you can apply it as a lever to get to where you need to be, as long as it is fun for you. Now, question becomes, does control only emerges at a football field? No, you can look at anything that any human interaction and control is available there. In a business partnership, in a personal relationship, in a employer and employee arrangement, in an organization, they all have their control measures. The only difference is some you can obviously see it as control measures. Rest are more subtle and you don't see it as control. So when does it begins? Does it begins when you start a job, when you start a relationship, or when you start a football? No. Look carefully. When you're a child learns very fast that if he or she speaks in a particular manner, they might be able to see their parents smile. As they grow up, they understand that if they speak in a particular manner and use particular words and behaviors, they might be able to get a certain outcome that they believe they need. So they, at a very early stage, that's the introduction of control. where they start learning that if they behave in a certain way, they can influence the outcome. Of course, they're having fun. It's not about manipulation or anything, they're just different degrees of control. But they are just having fun and they understand that's a fun technique to apply. Now, after that, every single game just becomes a game of control, whether it's driving a car or riding a motorcycle or playing a sports game or making billion-dollar empire companies. They're all games and they are fun if you look at it as fun. Now, are they always fun when you apply control? Now, see, sometimes, and you will hear it actually a lot of times, especially in personal relationships or even professional relationships, you will hear that person is controlling me or I'm being controlled by that person. Well, if you look at the game of football, the players don't care if their captain puts a player in an offense position or in a attacking position or at a goal defending position. As long as they are the right fit for that, the captain will make the call. And as long as everyone is clear on the common objective and they're all emotionally invested in the common objective, it doesn't matter who's controlling whom because they're just using the levers to get to the objective. So that part is quite easy to understand. However, there is not just the common objective that is key. There's underlying assumptions as well. See, each player is also assuming that I will be playing at my optimum capacity. Each other player in my team will also understand the strategy as the fastest as they can. Each player will optimize the game as we progress through the game. So there is a lot of assumptions that are also in consideration, which need to be in alignment. So if the assumptions are not aligned, that creates a conflict, even though you can have the same objective. See, take take a married relationship example. If one individual is marrying to another and they both have the common objective of staying married, what are the assumptions? At least some key ones. That we both want to stay married to each other and we want to keep it running till the end of life, at least in most cases. That's what they desire as an objective. Otherwise, it becomes pointless to announce you're getting married. However, over the period of time, one person can grow in saying, well, I can do whatever I like, or they would like to seek more freedom to do something else, or move to a different country, or move to a different job or a business which fulfills their destiny. And the other person's individual assumption may be, I need to be loved and given the attention the same way as it was day one. See, they both have their assumptions. One is saying, I can do whatever I can, be free, as long as I can hold the marriage and I can be providing what I promised to provide. The other person is thinking, well, I want your companionship and presence. So they both have different assumptions, but they both want to stay married, same objective. So the conflict starts based on their assumptions. So the conflict is not of the objective because they both have the same objective of staying married. Now, if someone asks either of them, do you want to stay married to the other person? Yeah. Someone asks this person, do you want to stay married to the other person? Yeah. So same objective. But as their assumptions start to fail, they have to apply more and more and more control because they both are fixated on the objective. See, they're fixated on the objective, but they also want their assumptions to be true. And that's where the conflict starts. They might say someone is controlling someone, but it is not that. It is just that their assumptions are very different to each other. So they want to achieve that objective with very different assumptions, which have changed over time, of course. Now, question becomes then, why do we use control? if assumptions change? Well, every single individual is growing by the millisecond. So the assumptions has to change. They are inevitable. Of course, there is a hypothetical scenario that two people can achieve the same objective without any control and without any force and without any conflict if they are 100% aligned. But I don't know any individual who is even aligned to themselves because they all grow with time. What you desired 5 years ago, you don't desire now. What you thought is fantastic for you 10 years ago, you don't think of that now. So each individual is growing in its own space and pace. But when people come together, professional partnerships or personal partnerships, they forget to cater the growth factor. They don't accommodate for the growth, and they presume that the assumptions have to be true for the length of the whole journey. Now, a football match finishes in a few hours, so the frustration can be managed accordingly. But if something goes on for years and years and years, your frustration is going to compound like interest in the bank. So, if every game is a game of control, then what is the underlying condition that you will choose as an individual? As long as it is fun for you, you will keep playing. See, the football players don't go to a psychologist or psychotherapist or a therapist or saying, oh, you know what, it's such a bad game, blah, 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 blah. Maybe they do, but it means that they are so emotionally invested in their own assumptions of how they feel about winning that game. But in personal relationships and business partnerships, a lot of people feel this pressure of control to the point where it is super stressful for them. And the question becomes that if it is that stressful, then why do you play the game? See, people start thinking that maybe I need to improve my degree of control. Now, if you do that and you get really good at having a grip on the control, then the question becomes, and you will see it, as you increase that degree of control and as you become better and better and better at managing it, if you are so emotionally infatuated or fixated on that end goal, then eventually that goal will control you. And that can be anything. It can be running a business, it can be running philanthropy, it can be managing a personal relationship. Doesn't matter. You can seek it. Because as long as the dream is working in your favor, all assumptions are aligned, and everyone is in the same, going forward with the same objective, there is not much of a friction and there's least control required. But as everyone grows in their own directions, the assumptions start to change and more control is required by each individual, and that's the conflicting space. Now that conflict is not always the bad space, same like in football, same conflict like in boxing or any other sport. Even motorcyclists, they put a lot of control and rigor in ensuring the motorcycle stays upright, and when they turn, they are not falling. So but that control is fun. If it is that stressful, they shouldn't be getting on the motorcycle. It is absolutely stupid to get on the motorcycle and feel that stressed that you need to go to a psychologist after getting off the ride. What is the point? They're missing the point. So, and you can look at any artist. Any artist, take it singing, take it playing an instrument, whether it's a piano, whether it's a guitar, doesn't matter what instrument it is. Take a dancer, uh, take a painter. They might have to apply control in learning that technique, how to hold the paintbrush or how to hold the instrument or how to use the right technique for singing, how to control the vocal cords as a training principle. Yes, but as long as it is fun for them. It can be tiring and exhausting, but still fun. But once they learn the technique, no dancer ever controls their body to ensure that they will land here and they will land there. They have to express that art as an art of freedom. So the technique is there, the foundational technique is there. They know how to balance their body with the rhythm of the music, but the art can only be expressed freely. Same about any painter, same about anyone who is playing an instrument. You can create an absolute symphony out of an art, whether it's a dance, whether it's a music, whether it's singing, whether it's an instrument. You can create an absolute symphony, not just in instruments and art. You can make your life as a beautiful masterpiece. Even with all the control measures and all the challenges, you have the absolute freedom to do that. But now that's where we can observe it, the beauty of this control mechanism. That you can use control at your liberty to play a game, knowing it is a game as long as it is fun. So if you're so fixated on the objective and there's other people involved, eventually they will all grow in their own branch directions. And control will become suffocating and stressful. It may be fun for one, but it may not be fun for all. So the question is, if the objective is so critical to your life, then it will be a painful journey unless we are looking at a natural alignment where everyone is aligned. And if everyone is aligned, perhaps you're not accommodating growth in there, or someone is suppressing the growth somewhere. So if the objective is too critical for you to achieve, then keep playing the game. So then the question becomes, and let me double check if I'm missing anything because I don't want to miss any point. Yep, so we covered. Uh, the question that we would like to ask is, do you need to increase the degree of control? And if you do, are you still controlling the objective? See, there was this Zen story I came across, which was where a monk, a Zen monk, was going with his student disciples for a walk, and they see a farmer who's also going for a walk with his cow, and farmer is holding a rope which is tied to the cow's neck. Now, the monk asked all his students that who is controlling whom, and the students replied, of course, the farmer is controlling the cow because the farmer has got the grip of the rope and the rope is around the neck of the cow. And the monk said that if you cut that rope, who is going to run after whom? So, see, that is the same analogy that applies in all our human interactions. If you're doing the business for fun and you can make a symphony out of it, you can make $100,000 or you can make $100 million, beautiful. Whether you buy an expensive house with that, or you travel, or you give it to philanthropy, that's all your forte. You do exactly what you got to do as long as you're having fun. But if you're fixated on that outcome, you're depending on your happiness for that outcome to be achieved, then it is just a matter of time before it collapses. Why? Because once it collapses, you'll try to control it very hard. And the ironic part is you can barely control anything. Look at it. Can you control anything in your biology? You can choose what time you can go to bed, perhaps, but you can't control what time you're going to fall asleep. You can choose what you will eat and how much you will eat, but you can't control when precisely you will be hungry. You can't control any of your biological functions. So, if you are unable to control any of your biological functions without a conflict, then how do you propose that you will have any degree of control on any other individual or any other circumstances? You can have some control, but that's only for fun and you might achieve an outcome. But that doesn't guarantee that you'll be still happy when you achieve that outcome. So you can't control that version. You might think today that there is a version of you which is going to be super happy when you achieve that outcome. But the question is, can you control that outcome, that a version of you which is going to be super happy with that outcome is going to be present and you will be able to experience it? No, you can't, because you can't factor your growth. If you could 20 years ago, could you predict that today you'll be this person? Precisely. You might be doing things that you planned, yes. But do you feel the same way? Did you have the vision? No, you didn't. So that growth is going to take all that control out of you. And if you're fixated on the outcome, then you will be very frustrated. So I would leave a question with you, that if everything is a game, then the question is, you should only play it as long as it is fun for you. Else, question yourself, why bother playing at all? Because see, there is a difference in game and play. So you don't need to play each game as a game. You can just play, have fun, and get off the horse when it doesn't services you. So I leave these thoughts with you until we meet next time. Namaste. This is Das. Have a great day and have a great week ahead. Bye bye.